Adam Neumann is the only founder in history who destroyed $40 billion of value and got paid over $1 billion to leave the crime scene. No fraud conviction, no prison. He rented desks, that's the whole business, and convinced the world's biggest tech investor it was a revolution in human consciousness. Here's the burning question. If the product was ordinary, the losses were public, and the math never worked, what exactly was everyone buying? By the end of this video, you'll know and you'll see why the man who fooled them all just got handed hundreds of millions to do it again. Start small. Because this one starts genuinely small. New York, 2008. Adam Neumann is an Israeli ex-Navy officer in his late 20s with a string of failed products behind him, including collapsible high heels and baby clothes with knee pads. He's broke enough that the clothing company shares office space to save rent. And that's the spark. The office itself is the product. He and an architect named Miguel McKelvey talk their landlord into an experiment. Take a floor, chop it into small offices, wrap it in good design, rent it by the desk. They call it Green Desk. It fills up instantly. That's a real business. Buy space wholesale, sell it retail. Landlords have done it for a century. It even has a name, real estate arbitrage. Margins exist, but they're thin. And in a downturn, you're holding decade-long leases while your month-to-month customers evaporate. Every real estate person knows this. So in 2010, when Neumann and McKelvey launch WeWork in a single Soho location, the idea is solid and the ceiling is low. But Neumann understood something the landlords didn't. In the 2010s, a company is worth what story it can tell. A real estate company gets valued at maybe 10 times profits. A tech company, a community platform gets valued at 10 times revenue. Same desks, same coffee. 10 times the price, if you can just change the noun. So the mission became elevate the world's consciousness. Renting a desk became joining a movement. Beer on tap, summer camp festivals, the word we on everything. And it grew genuinely. First location, then 10, then whole towers across New York, London, Shanghai. By 2014, WeWork was valued at $5 billion. By 2017, $20 billion. The climb was real square footage, real members, hundreds of thousands of them stacked on a story that made losing money look like winning ground. Keep one number in your head from this point. The faster WeWork grew, the more it lost. Growth wasn't reducing the losses. Growth was the losses. That fact never changes for the rest of this story. Everything else is decoration. Then, 2016. The decoration met its perfect buyer. Masayoshi Son, SoftBank's founder, fresh off raising the largest tech fund in history, $100 billion, toured WeWork's headquarters for less than half an hour. He barely looked at the numbers. He later compared Neumann to Alibaba's Jack Ma. And he gave him what became more than $10 billion across successive rounds, with one instruction that should hang in a museum. He told Neumann WeWork wasn't being crazy enough. Make it 10 times bigger. Think about the incentive that creates. The most powerful investor on earth just told a man with no cost discipline that his only flaw was restraint. So the empire phase begins, and it curdles fast. WeWork buys a wave pool company. It opens a private school, WeGrow, run by Adam's wife Rebecca. A private jet, $60 million. And the self-dealing starts. Neumann buys stakes in buildings and leases them back to his own company. He borrows hundreds of millions against his own stock. And in the deal that became the symbol of everything, he trademarked the word we personally and had the company pay him $5.9 million for its own name. By January 2019, SoftBank money marks WeWork at $47 billion, the most valuable startup in America. A desk rental company worth more than Ford. Ask yourself the question every employee should have asked. Who checked any of this? The answer is nobody, because Neumann held super voting shares, 20 votes per share. The same weapon Zuckerberg built after his betrayals, remember. No board could stop him, so no board tried. But there was one thing his shares couldn't outvote: a public document. To go public, WeWork had to file an S-1, the disclosure form, where the story has to sit next to the numbers, on the same page, under oath, the 14th of August 2019. The world finally reads it. Losses of $1.9 billion in a year, a company losing roughly $2 for every dollar it earned. An invented profit metric, community-adjusted EBITDA, that magicked losses away. Page after page of Adam's self-dealing in black and white, the building stakes, the trademark, the loans. The document was supposed to be a coronation. It read like a confession. 6 weeks. That's all it took. No scandal, no whistleblower, no FBI raid, just math. Exposed to sunlight. The IPO was pulled. The valuation collapsed from $47 billion toward $8. And the investors who had cheered every crazy decision did exactly what Facebook's investors, Uber's investors, every investor eventually does. They removed the founder to protect the asset. September 2019, Neumann was out. Now the ending. And it's the reason this episode exists. Thousands of WeWork employees were laid off in the aftermath, holding stock options worth less than the paper. Landlords were left holding the leases. SoftBank wrote down billions. In November 2023, WeWork itself filed for bankruptcy. Everyone connected to the belief lost. Everyone except the man who sold it. To get him to give up his supervoting shares, SoftBank handed Neumann an exit package worth around $1.7 billion stock purchases, a huge consulting fee, credit. He didn't outrun the collapse. He was paid to allow it. The twins sued Zuckerberg for years to get $65 million. Neumann burned the building down and the fire department paid him on the way out. And the epilogue turns it from a story into a law of nature. In 2022, one of Silicon Valley's most famous venture firms, Andreessen Horowitz, gave Neumann its largest single check ever, $350 million for a new company called Flow, doing residential real estate, wrapped in community. The same pitch, one word changed. So what was everyone buying back at the start? Not desks, not even growth. They were buying the feeling of being early to the next Steve Jobs, and that feeling has no balance sheet. Holmes went to prison because her fake was made of blood. Neumann never faked a number, he just renamed them. The S1 was true, the story was the product, and legally, the story isn't fraud. Next week, the founder who didn't bother with stories. He built the most valuable startup on earth on a simple rule: break the law faster than cities can enforce it, with an app feature built specifically to deceive police. And then his own investors used his own playbook on him. Travis Kalanick and Uber. Subscribe, the pattern only gets more brutal from here.